Hello and welcome to the Horror Homestead. My name is GiBi, this is Toto, and this is another episode in my ongoing series where we're talking about the Five Nights at Freddy's anthology series, Fazbear Frights. Each video is going to summarize, analyze, and theorize about a different story in the ongoing Fazbear Frights series. I'm currently a believer in the Frights fiction fan theory, which states that all these books are actually in-universe novels published by Fazbear Entertainment to make light of the situations of their history, or to make money. There's a lot of suggestions from you guys about what to name this little guy. The ones that I like right now are Zero, because I like the 0-point field, or Ozzy, as a reference to Oz from Into the Pit, the Wizard of Oz, because I'm calling him Toto, and also because Toothless is kind of like a bat, and Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off a bat. So I do like both of those. If you guys have a preference, Zero or Ozzy, let me know in the comments, or if you have another suggestion, you can tell me. He's just a little guy. He's just a cute little guy. We're now talking about the 9th physical book in the series, The Puppet Carver, and its second story, Jump for Tickets. This story is written by Ellie Cooper. Let's get into it. Colton is playing an online role-playing game, and he's annoyed by squeakers. I'm already endeared to this story because Ellie got real gamer lingo into the story. That's actually how people talk. Is that actually how people talk? Do people still call little kids squeakers? Am I out of touch? Basically, if you were playing like Call of Duty back in 2012 and there was a really annoying kid on the microphone, you'd call them a squeaker because their voice is really high-pitched, so it was just a way of saying, you're a child, you're too young to play this game. Is that something you guys still say? I don't know, I don't really play that kind of game anymore. Anyway, Colton is playing Hammer of Odin, a T for Teen rated role-playing game that is probably World of Warcraft. I can't think of another game that it might be. Colton comments that kids should be playing games like Block Builder, which is obviously Minecraft. Colton played Block Builder last year when he was in middle school, but now he's in high school. He's too old for kiddie games like that. He's too old for Minecraft, so he plays World of Warcraft. Anyway, this discussion about video games takes a sharp turn over a sheet of ice, and we start hearing about Colton's dead father. When it first happened, Colton had kept all his sadness inside. He hadn't cried, not even at the funeral. But over time, his sadness had hardened into anger. How could a person not be angry living in a world where good people died for no reason? His dad was dead, and he lived in a world where people rarely got what they deserved. If he lashed out sometimes, so what? He was suffering, and if other people ended up getting a taste of that pain, then at least he didn't suffer alone. I'm getting the New Kid vibes from this, where a character thinks it's their job or their wish for justice and karma to be dished out to people, which will never turn out good for them in a story like this because that's a bad attitude to have. Despite being too old for Minecraft, Colton does like Freddy Fazbear, a sentence that is incoherent in the real world. Colton likes going to Freddy's because he's trying to save up 10,000 tickets for a new handheld gaming console. Based on this book's release date in 2021, I'm assuming this was a Nintendo Switch. It says that this is 2 models newer than what he currently has, so maybe he's just playing the original DS. With his dad gone, Colton and his mom had learned to settle for less, living in a small apartment instead of a house, buying store-brand groceries instead of the brand-name stuff, playing older games on older equipment while Colton's friend seemed to buy new games and consoles as casually as if they were bottles of soda. He wasn't a poor kid exactly. They had a roof over their heads and clothes to wear and plenty to eat, but there was no money for what his mom called luxuries. New, name-brand clothes and sneakers were luxuries. So were new games and nearly anything else that had the word new in front of it. Colton understood that his mom couldn't make money magically appear, but maybe if he spent enough time at Freddy's, he could make tickets magically appear. Colton has now committed sin number 2 of living in a Fazbear Fright story, which is making a wish. Because every FNaF story is ultimately a monkey's paw. The idea that he wants to wish for tickets makes it very clear that something bad is going to happen. My guess at this point while I was reading the story for the first time was that because he wants to impart justice on other people, and because he's wishing for tickets, he'll probably steal something and it'll go wrong, which is pretty close to what ends up happening. Colton's mom is a nurse and she heads off to work. She gives him $10 to get himself a treat, like soda, but instead he spends them on tokens at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Colton refers to the little kids running around enjoying the place as cockroaches and maggots. Colton's cousin Aiden is also at Freddy's that day. Colton doesn't like Aiden because he's a brat. Also, the worst thing about Aiden was that he loved Colton desperately, and no matter how much venom Colton spewed at him, Aiden only seemed to love him more. This reminds me of Angel from Gumdrop Angel because her sister was, like, just really nice and wanted to spend time with her, but Angel was so envious of her that she couldn't admit to herself that the real reason that she hated her is just because she was, like, Jealous. I also can't help but think of that meme scene from Meet the Robinsons.
Hey, Goop, what's up? Cool binder. Hey, Goop, wanna come over to my house today?
They all hated me.
Before Colton could protest, Aiden was hugging him. Colton stood stiffly, his arms raised as though a police officer had just told him to freeze. He refused to participate in this hug. So Colton really hates kids. He hates squeakers and their baby games like Minecraft. He hates children running around like cockroaches, and he hates his little cousin. Earlier in the story, it said that a year ago, before his dad died, he was happy. So I guess what makes him hate kids is that they remind him of the innocence that he's lost. Aiden and the kids at the birthday party play Jump for Tickets, which is one of those wind tunnel ticket games where you stand there and then the tickets fall and you have to grab them, and it's on a springy floor, and so you have to jump, and when you hit the spring, it releases tickets from above you. And so Colton's watching them play this, and he's like, you know what? That's unfair. Colton watched the spectacle with a mixture of jealousy and disgust. He thinks that the kids are bad because they'll just, like, reach for tickets, and then, still holding the tickets in their hand, reach for more, and so they'll, like, keep dropping them, whereas he's smart. He's a smart teenage man. He would grab the tickets and, like, put them in his pockets and stuff, and then grab more. But unfortunately, the way that the system seems to work is the lighter you are, the less you press on the floor, the more tickets come out. So it's actually rigged to benefit children and not teenagers. When people play Jump for Tickets, the activity is announced by Coils the Clown. This story is his only appearance. Ellie Cooper is not limited by Scott's designs, making him for like FNaF 2 or something, so she's able to make him look like whatever she wants. Let's look at his description. Coils the birthday clown animatronic had wonky eyes, one that seemed to look straight ahead while the other veered down and to the right, and a weird open-jawed grin that reminded Colton of those carnival games where you shoot water in the clown's mouth. So he's either wacky or he's old and run down. Right, having one eye pointing the wrong way either means that the eye broke over time and now looks the wrong way, or it's looking the wrong way on purpose to be wacky. Having an unhinged jaw either means that it's just been broken over time, or again, he's supposed to be like a slack-jawed, silly little guy. Its lanky body was dressed in a lemon and lime colored striped costume that was decorated with little jingly bells, which, Colton guessed, was so you could hear the clown before you saw it. It reminded him of the old story, about the mice who want to hang a bell on a cat and use it as an early warning system. What an ominous comparison. Why would someone have to be alerted to the clown's presence? I bet that's going to happen later. It's going to happen later. The clown's name came from its arms, which were yellow, stretchy coils that reminded Colton of the old-fashioned landline phone at his grandmother's house. In one of the clown's three-fingered, white-gloved hands, it held several fanned-out tickets. That kind of, like, loop-de-loop design, like, I don't know, like a slinky or something, is very common in children's toys and clowns. I also don't like how he's holding tickets. It seems to be beckoning him forward, beckoning Colton to just go and grab one and take one, things that he doesn't deserve. Is this clown entrapment? I don't know, we'll find out. So after seeing the kids jump for tickets, Colton decides that he wants to actually make justice for real. He wants to make things happen the way they should. He wants to give teenagers an advantage. He needed to give it some more thought, but he was confident that he could re-rig the pulverizer so it favored bigger visitors instead of small ones. Justice would be served, and after only a dozen or so rounds of Jump for Tickets, Colton would be able to claim his new game console. The game is called Jump for Tickets, the machine's called the pulverizer, because you gotta pulverize it to make the tickets fall, okay? It makes sense. So justice would mean better life for teenagers, because he's a teen, and teens are disillusioned, and children still have their innocence, so that's bad to Colton. It's all coming together. Do you want half my tickets? Aiden asked, holding out a fistful. I don't want your stupid tickets, I want you to go away.
They all hated me.
Colton decides to break into Freddy Fazbear's after hours so he can manipulate the machine to give him better monies. Aiden's disappointment would only add to Colton's joy. Why did the kid have to be so happy all the time? It would be great to see his stupid cousin shed some tears for once, just like it would be great for Colton to come out a winner for once in his life. Colton goes to his Uncle Mike's car workshop to borrow some tools. This is symbolic of Ellie Cooper having to fill pages. Colton formulates his plan. He's gonna break into Freddy Fazbear's, but not really. What he's gonna do is he's gonna hide in Freddy Fazbear's, so he gets locked in overnight so he can then work on the machine. Rig it in his favor. He goes to the janitor's closet and hides behind a cabinet. Colton had never really been in a tight space before, so he'd never really understood claustrophobia. He understood it now. Even though he knew rationally that he had plenty of access to oxygen, He still had the sensation of not being able to breathe. The space was too tight, too cramped. He remembered reading a story about a man who was trapped in a cave and slowly went mad. Even after only being in this tiny space for a couple of minutes, he understood how quickly his sanity could slip away if he had no means of escaping. But he was in control. He could leave his hiding place anytime he wanted to. He was just choosing to stay there until closing time, because it was the only way for his plan to work. He could do this. Why not simply steal the video game console, Colton? Well, let me tell you why, reader. Because he's not motivated for his own benefit, he's motivated by justice. It's not about him getting the thing he wants, it's about revenge on the world. He wants to be showered in tickets, and he wants his cousin to not get any tickets. And that attitude is why he is dumb and wrong and will be punished. I'm sure he would be punished for stealing too, but like the point is that he's not even doing it for himself, he's just doing it because he wants to punish people. He goes to the machine, and in a single paragraph rigs it, and is then worried about how he needs to now escape the restaurant, and this happened so fast that I thought maybe I missed something. So I kept rereading the paragraph, and I'm like, no, he did it, he accomplished his goal. How is the story only like 1/5 of the way through? He just rigged the machine. It turns out, what I should have feared was the fact that it wouldn't work, and we would have to spend the next third of the story with him trying and trying again to rig it, because the story just needed to fill up pages, I guess. So he sneaks out of the Freddy's bathroom window to go home. He comes back the next day, he watches kids play Jump for Tickets, it releases the same number of tickets as normal, he gets in, barely any tickets come out, he realizes that he did it wrong, now he's angry. Page 96 of the book is crazy. So far the book is called Colton the entire time, but now he's talking to his mother and she calls him Colt, which is fine. It's kind of like in Into the Pit how the narrator calls him Oswald, but then his dad and his friends call him Oz. That's fine. The problem is, there's a typo. Colton usually laughed at his mom's weird flights of fancy, but today he couldn't find the energy to respond. "What's the matter, Colt? Not even a smile?" His mom tapped him with her spatula. "You usually think my tangents are funny." Corey shrugged. "Just not in a smiling mood, I guess." Corey? Who is Corey, Scott? This is in the physical book and the ebook. How does that slip through? Read your own book, Scott. Or editor or publisher or whoever. Just tired of seeing other people get what I deserve. People who don't deserve it, like little kids. They've not been around long enough to deserve anything. They've not paid their dues yet. They might as well still be in diapers. The more he thought about it, the angrier he felt. Did you catch it? So Colton Colt Corey doesn't like children because he's envious of their innocence, and he has a misplaced sense of a karmic justice. With that said, we then get this exchange. Keep in mind that half of his character so far is just hating kids. He doesn't want to be around kids. He's jealous of kids, etc. Now listen to this passage. "Well," his mom said, "I had a part-time job when I was your age. I worked at the Swirly Cone after school and on weekends, making cones and shakes and sundaes. It didn't pay much, but the money adds up when you don't have any other expenses." Colton couldn't help but feel offended. "Are you telling me I have to get a job? I already help Uncle Mike out 2 days a week. I'm not telling you that you have to, I'm just saying it's an option. If you worked, say, 10 to 15 hours a week, you could save up money to buy those luxury items I can't afford. If you keep throwing money at the ticket pulverizer, you'll probably have spent more money trying to win tickets than that video game console costs anyway." Colton stood up from his chair. He was outraged. "I can't believe you're trying to make me get a job. I'm just a kid. Haven't you ever heard of child labor laws?" So Colton Colt Corey hates kids when he's at Freddy's and they're playing games that he wants to be playing. He hates when they're playing rated T for teen games, because they should be just little babies playing Minecraft. But when it comes to getting a job, he says he's just a kid. This is not a contradiction of the writing, this is a contradiction of Colton Colt Corey's logic. He doesn't realize he's being hypocritical and contradictory. We then get this weird tense shift that I hate. This keeps happening in these stories. It's probably grammatically correct, I just don't like it stylistically, where the stories are written in the past tense, but then we'll get a word like today. Colton had become obsessed with the ticket pulverizer. He looked up similar kinds of machines online, trying to get a better understanding of their mechanics. Today, in shop class, he sat furiously sketching and making notes, as he had done in class every day for the past week. I don't know, I don't like it. I think it should say that day, or just the next day. Like, you can word it differently to not have to use the word today. But I don't know. Who am I to tell a writer, an editor, and a publisher that their grammar is wrong? I guess I'm wrong, I just don't like it personally. Colton stood a few steps away from the machine that consumed his every waking hour. He looked at it as an enemy to be defeated, like in one of those Greek myths he had read in middle school. He was the hero, and it was the monster. And the clown, the horrible gape-jawed clown, was like a dragon standing guard that he had to defeat before his big battle with the boss monster. So it's a Greek myth, but he's also thinking of it in terms of like a video game. I think the best comparison would be the white whale from Moby Dick, but sure, dragon, I guess. After all this planning, Colton Colt Corey is going to rig the machine again. He sneaks in the morning through the bathroom window that he discovered last time, and he goes to the machine. When he leaves the bathroom, he sees the weird clown thing standing right outside the bathroom door, almost like it's a guard. He thinks this is weird, and he goes to the machine, and then he hears a tinkling bell sound behind him. This seems to be alerting him that the clown is moving. He goes and he hides behind an arcade cabinet, and then sees the clown actually walking around. It's like it's looking for something. He tells himself that it's just an animatronic, it's not actually looking for him, so he goes to work on the ticket machine anyway, and he starts looking at it, he ducks underneath, he's looking around for what he should do, and then the clown grabs him by the shoulder, and he's like, I don't like that, so he punches the clown, and it flies across the room and topples over. He's like, haha, take that, stupid clown. So then he gets on his knees, and he opens a compartment that's made for, like, accessing the battery, and he crawls underneath the ticket pulverizer. And as he's looking around for what he needs to work on, something grabs his legs, and it yanks him out from under the machine. It's the clown. So he kicks it free, and he kicks it, and then it goes flying, and then he crawls back underneath, and he closes the little battery hatch behind him, so the clown can't reach him anymore. He fixes the machine, it's all good, he has now rigged it to be better for teenagers to win their tickets, and then he tries to leave. And he can't, because the hatch won't budge. And he looks out one of the holes that you should have, like, a screw in to, like, screw it closed, and he sees that the clown is standing there. It seems to be blocking the hatch so he can't escape. He starts screaming and screaming, because he wants to be free. He screams for so long that his voice gives out. And then we get the full weight of the irony of the situation. Scared, unable to use language or feed himself, in very real danger of wetting his pants, Colton had regressed to the helplessness of an infant. Haha, get it? He is now younger than a child. He is a baby. Freddy's opens, Colton yells for help, no one can hear him because the music and the voices in the arcade ding-dings are just so loud that they can't hear him screaming. Kids start to pile into the Jump for Tickets machine to jump for tickets. We cut to the perspective of Bella. She's a young girl having her birthday at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and she's friends with Aiden, Colton's cousin. They start playing Jump for Tickets. 1, 2, 3, jump! Bella yelled. The kids leaped, then landed at the same time, forcing the platform down, then up, then down farther. Jump! The platform dropped an inch. Jump! And another inch. Jump! And another. Bella and her friends laughed and let go of each other so they could grab the falling tickets. After the next jump, though, the platform didn't go any lower. The kids jumped again, but it stayed put. Bella's dad gets frustrated that the machine is obviously not working, so he goes and gets a manager who sends a mechanic. And this is how the story ends. The clown animatronic was acting weird, too. It was pointing at the base of the machine and grabbing at Ted's arm, as if it didn't want him to go inside the ticket pulverizer. But of course, it didn't want anything. It was just a stupid robot. A stupid robot that seemed to be malfunctioning. Ted shook his head. Was every cheap piece of equipment in this run-down place breaking all at the same time? Ted climbed into the pulverizer and jumped on the platform a few times. It hardly moved, even with the force of all his ample weight, though he did think he heard a liquidy squishing sound that, of course, made no sense. He was going to have to call the repair guy. When Ted exited the machine, the clown robot was standing in front of the door. Its face, which was usually wearing a comically huge grin, was now a mask of tragedy, with a downturned mouth and sad-looking eyes. Was a tear sliding down its cheek, or was Ted imagining things? Sometimes he thought he should find a more normal place to work. One of the little kids from the ticket pulverizer must have noticed the clown's sad face too, because he ran up to it and said, "Hey Coils, remember me? I'm your buddy Aiden. Don't be sad, okay? It's bad to be sad. My cousin Colton's sad all the time. That's why I'm saving up my tickets to buy him a present." The little boy threw his arms around the clown animatronic, and it hugged him back, holding him in its springy, coiled yellow arms. Weird, Ted thought, walking past the scene on the way to his office. The ticket pulverizer stood empty, or at least empty as far as anyone could see. Ted returned from his office with a sign that he hung on the machine's door. Out of order. They spelled equipment wrong in this section. Anyways, time for analysis. Colton Colt Corey haunts the clown, and I love that. It doesn't want Ted the fat man to go in because he knows it'll squish him. He finally hugs Aiden back, which remember Colton Colt Corey didn't want to do earlier, but Aiden just said, hey, I'm gonna get my cousin a cool prize. And he's like, oh no, I should have valued you. I should have loved you because you're my cousin and you're so nice to me, and now I'm dead, I'm a clown. I'll give you a hug. So yeah, great ending, love it. The writing also was not bad. There's stuff to pick up on a second read, like, and then there were the kitties themselves, laughing, screaming, throwing tantrums, and running around underfoot like cockroaches. It was all Colton could do to not squish them. Get it? Because he gets squished. He also calls them maggots, which you'll find like by lifting under a rock, lifting up a rock under the rock, like lifting up the ticket pulverizer. See, this is why I read the stories twice. There's also lines like this. Uncle Mike slid out from under the car he was working on. If Colton continued to do well in his technical classes at school and apprenticed for Uncle Mike a couple of afternoons a week, Mike had promised Colton that he could have a job in the shop as soon as he graduated high school. Yeah, if Colton Colt Corey does really well in school, he too can spend the rest of his life working underneath machinery. Anyway, Colton Colt Corey might not be the most complex character we've had in the franchise, but we know who he is, what he wants, why he wants it, and why he's going to be punished by the story. Very strong, straightforward story. I think its biggest flaw is that there's 20 pages that you could easily cut out to make the story much more good. You could cut out him failing to rig the machine, you could cut out him going to shop class, you could cut out the scene of him hating children for the 4th time. If this was edited down, it might be one of my favorites. As of right now, it's good, it's actually great. It's just not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. I did my analysis as we went, so there's really not much more to talk about, except for the fact that Colton Colt Corey is now stuck inside of a clown that has to entertain children for the rest of time, a clown that has to introduce them to the ticket pulverizer, the thing that he died in. It's like irony or something. This is also very similar to the kind of, like, childhood rumor that you would hear if you went to this kind of location. Like, if Freddy's was real, I could totally see kids passing on a legend where they say stuff like, you know, a kid died down there once. He crawled underneath it and was crushed. They cleaned it out, but some people say he still haunts the ticket machine, a lost spirit guiding kids to play the game that killed him, as that clown. And then you look at the clown and you'd be really scared, and you look at the ticket pulverizer, and every time you jumped on it, you'd be like, what if I'm crushing a kid underneath me? This is scared. I'm scared of this place. Other people had childhoods too, where kids told scary stories about mundane things like that, right? Like, everyone had a ghost haunting their elementary school bathroom, right? That wasn't just me. Genuinely, this story is what every Frights story should be. This should be the bare minimum quality that they hit to tell an interesting ghost story that's also a morality tale with a straightforward main character who it's interesting to follow, competent writing, and a robot that gets possessed by a child. You know, Five Nights at Freddy's. Great job, Ellie Cooper. Great job, Scott. I love this story. I hope the next story is just as good. I cannot wait for it. The next story we're going to read is Pizza Kit. Thank you for watching. Please be nice to each other in the comments. Consider supporting the creators you admire. A link to my Patreon's in the description. You can also become a channel member. If you enjoy this analysis, please like the video. I don't always talk about this, but every once in a while I need to look at my numbers and realize that I get more views talking about literally anything else besides the FNaF books. I enjoy talking about them, but it's kind of hard to justify making a video about Jump for Tickets when people want videos about Secret of the Mimic. So liking this video really helps it out in the algorithm and makes it so I can make more content like this. And remember that Freddy's stands for Friendly, Respectful Engagement, Discussion, and Discourse Yield Success. I would like to thank my patrons: Brandon, Lauren V, Morgan, Nan, Scott, Sophie, Suka, and Wooly, as well as Billy, Chamikan, Klaus, Eliza, Halmar, Johnny the Night Guard, Kira, Lauren R, Rhiannon, Rose, Sebhar, Thamagata, World's Greatest Bard, Ya Boy Peachy, and Zany Face, as well as Emily, Gremlin, HHD, Jinx, Jose, Kenneth, Mustard Shirt Guy, Rolo, and Riley, as well as Ellie, Jojo, Jeannie, Mariuna, and Ray. I would like to thank my YouTube members, my Night Guards. Those who made it to Night 1, Toolshed Inc., Liz, Violet Puppy, Haley, Sophie, Poppy, Theory Chum, Riley, JT Kelly 18, Golden Productions, Louie, and Jackie. Those who made it to Night 2, Mrs. Trap and Ya Boy Peachy. Those who made it to Night 3, Just Because and The Moving Marker. Those who made it to Night 4, Dan B, Gemma Shearsy, Mike, Hyrule YT, Remington, Unk, YouTube Guy, Hathor the Cow, Bob, Maggie, Blood-Loving Girl, Mr. Simps, Casual Soup, Ace Cole 99, Mad Dog, Cammy Bammy, Eric, Maury, Rainbow Data, Ming Amazing, Cryonide, Isaac, Rose, Slatfried, Tim, Mamakato, Celtic 1020, EB Theory Blue, The Unwithered Sigma, Braden, PS1 Hagrid, Q, Devil Lad 666, Hello Kevin, A Bored Person, Omnisoap, Bowie, Hannah, and Jazz. And especially those who made it to Night 5. Suka.